Moving on now, incessant rains over the last 24 hours caused 5 boats to capsize off the coast of Ratnagiri in Maharashtra. The fishing boats had 29 workers on board in total when they sank. 27 people have been rescued, 1 person has been declared dead and 1 other is still missing. On your screen, of course, is footage of that rescue which was carried out by the Coast Guard of the Ratnagiri coast. 5 fishing boats out at sea, 29 people on board in those boats, and 27 of these 29 people were rescued in a daring operation by the Coast Guard. Of course, with incessant rains, the seas have also been stormy, as you can see from the footage on your screens over there. 27, remember there are 29 people on board those 5 boats, all fishing boats. 27 of these people were rescued by the Coast Guard. 1 person has been declared dead. 1 other person is still missing. We have Herman now, who's getting us more details on that. Herman, tell us more about this rescue operation. When was the alarm sounded? How long did the rescue operation last?
Well, what we are told is that this rescue operation did take off the Ratnagiri coast. If one is aware, definitely that is the area where it is a major port, and at the same time there are a number of large fishing vessels also that are always into activity around the Ratnagiri coast. A total of 29 people is what we are told were present in the boat, out of which 27 people were rescued during that turbulent weather. And out of those 29, 1 has been confirmed dead. Therefore, there has been a casualty. That has been 1 person who's dead. And the search and rescue operation, meanwhile, still continue even as we speak. At this point in time, that 1 has been still missing. So out of the total 29, 27 people have been rescued. Unfortunately, 1 has been the casualty. And still, meanwhile, search and rescue operation, despite the turbulent weather in the area, 1 person is still missing off the Ratnagiri coast.
Right. Herman, take us through the details of this entire rescue operation. We can see that the seas are very stormy over there. Obviously, it is a very, very tough rescue operation that the Coast Guard has pulled off, where they have managed to save 27 out of 29 people.
Well, that's right. You know, this is in fact the second fishing vessel that has been rescued by the Coast Guard. Remember, the first one was in fact of 14 people who were on board. All of those 14 people, in fact, were rescued by the Coast Guard. That was the first fishing vessel. In fact, in that vessel had been stranded for the last 10 days. That is when a distress call was received by the Indian Coast Guard, and that is when it had gone out to rescue those people. Out of all those 14 people who were in the first vessel, in fact, have been rescued. And meanwhile, on the second vessel that we are talking right now about, there were 29 people. That was also a distress call. That was answered by the Indian Coast Guard. In fact, 29 people were on board. In the first vessel, there were 14 in the second one, and all of those 14 were rescued safely. In the second one, there were 29 people on board. 27 out of those 29 have been rescued. 1, unfortunately, has been the casualty. That has been 1 person who's been confirmed dead. And despite the weather, despite what IMD has been stating for the last 36 hours that we've been seeing, the rough weather as well as the turbulent rains in the area of the Ratnagiri coast, 1 continues to be missing. And therefore, in that direction, search and rescue operations continue by the Indian Coast Guard.
Right, Herman, thank you for getting us those details. And of course, apart from the warning that came from the IMD, did very clearly also ask fishermen to stay off the sea.